And order some
Call the
extra
meeting to
parts
order.
and
Please rise to the pledge
that
of
sort of
allegiance.
stuff.
I pledge of allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of
America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we approve the agenda, Michael, you said there's just a couple differences?
No, actually I think we're all good.
Oh, okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Review of the minutes from November 28th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes for November 28th are approved. Open public comment. Everyone's just for the other, right? Who are these other people?
Can I get just a check from somebody there that you can hear us and we can hear you?
Who are they? Because you only.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. That's Jim. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, ask them, they could identify themselves.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Could you, who are on the phone, could you identify yourselves? You're muted.
Ken Brown from DAS. Jim, you're muted.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, I'm Jim Bellman. I'm the president of Stonecraft Conservancy, which is part of the VASC Association.
I'm Courtney Dickerson from the Catamount Trail Association.
Thank you. All right, moving on to good stuff.
The decorations on the bridge and the banners and the tree look absolutely fantastic, so. Looks nice.
So we had the Christmas tree lighting on Saturday in frigid cold weather, but it was actually awesome. There was a great turnout, a really good turnout of people. I would say, what, do you think 30 people?
They counted 68 at the library.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, some people didn't come, I don't think.
To the lighting just came, okay, all right. So, yeah, so, kudos to our yard, but especially Lisa and Karen, because they did the extras. Got lots of cookies, hot chocolate, activities, and everyone seemed really appreciative, so it was really a good turnout.
And we had a nice concert by Energize up at the Union Church the same night, and we probably had 150, 175 people.
Wow.
Great effort by Energize. They're a great band. Nothing beautiful.
Lisa?
And we had 3 high school kids that tried out for the Green Mountain District 5 orchestra or band. So Haley Sloan, Olivia Alexley, and Jada Perry. And so on February 3rd, they'll go play with kids from all across the state, the guest conductor. I think they do it at Castleton maybe now. They used to do it at MSJ, I'm not sure. And then this Friday and Saturday, we have the play over at the high school, Willy Wonka, which is kids from the elementary school and high school. So on Friday, it's at 7 o'clock, and Saturday and matinee at 2 o'clock. So, and basketball is also starting. So next week there'll be games, and we do have a JV and junior high boys team this year. So there are more games to watch this year.
That's good.
Kind of a nasty little storm. The guys did a good job. Streets are not bad at all.
No.
All right. Is there a motion to go into the Board of Water Commissioners?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Fiscal 24 water budget review.
So just for reference, I've provided the FY24 Water Department budget for the total estimated, the total budget's $427,220. biggest increases in that budget, were to labor and retirement. That is assuming the 6.5% with Beamers, but even if you did want to make a cut, our guys are soon to be vested into our 457B, which is a 5% match, so it wouldn't come down a whole lot if you did make that change from the 6.5% to 5% of the salary. And of course, chlorine and fluoride. Chemicals have just gone up, period.
Anybody have questions on the budget?
How does that break down to the expense on the citizen side?
It's an increase of 16, from last year. I know what you're asking, I'll try to get to it. But, it's an increase in the budget from last year of approximately 16,100. And I can have those, figures at our next meeting.
So there shouldn't be much of a rate any rate
Actually,
increase.
you know what, I can pull it up because I have it
It would
here.
be a 4%.
But it's a 4% budget increase.
Right.
Impact the rates, it probably shouldn't impact the rates, so.
Yeah, it does. Current rate is under, so the FY '23 expenditures, the FY '23 budget was $411,118, and the rate was $523. And the proposed rate sends it to $543.
$20 increase.
So we don't take any action on this now, right?
The only thing I was questioning is the workers' comp rates, they seem kind of high. I don't know, do you know if the league, like, lowered your, like, rate on workers' comp this year, or no?
No, they didn't lower it.
Okay. Seems like it should go down, I just don't get it.
If we don't have accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can provide a breakdown of that to you at the next meeting. It's actually, it takes a good bit of brain power to do that. And it's not so much just splitting it up between each department, you have to split it up with each department, including the credit. And the credit has to go across each department at the percentage of what the salary is. So it's, but I do have that breakdown that I can provide to you at our next meeting.
But do they break it down for you? Like should break down each department with the rate?
They break it down to some degree. I still have to do a little bit more work to make sure to make sure that the credit is applied.
Right, okay. All right. Any questions, any other questions anybody have? No? Okay. Anything else under Water Commissioners?
I don't have anything to add.
We haven't had any breaks, that you're aware of, Michael?
No, we haven't
Yeah.
had
Good.
any. And A&E's still monitoring the data from the pump, so I'd expect to hear something back from them, you know, within a month or two on what they find.
Okay, is there a motion to go out of the Board of Water Commissioners and into the Board of Sewer Commissioners? Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The approval letter for the wastewater treatment plant engineering services agreement.
This is just to let you all know that our our engineering services agreement was approved by the state finally. It's back in their hands, and then we'll have a project timeline from A&E soon. So I'll hopefully be providing that to you within the next month or two. And just for reference, this is for the scoping study of the wastewater treatment facility.
Thank you. Fiscal 24 wastewater budget review.
Okay, I've also provided this to you. The big change from last year is caused by the bond interest and bond principal for loan number RF1-241, which were the collection system improvements made to the sanitary sewer that feeds the Willow Street station. So the new budget, the new proposed budget is $402,003. That's a $61,428 increase from last year. This year's sewer rate is $445.78. Under the proposed FY24 budget, the sewer rate will go up to $526.18.
So really the biggest thing in here is
That is the big driver. You do have an increase in salary and retirement, just like the water, but the difference between those two is the loan.
Anybody have questions? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to go out of the Board of Sewer Commissioners and into the regular Select Board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, department reports. Everybody has their town manager's report?
If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. It doesn't look like it on the surface, but there's a lot going on, and we've closed quite a things up from summer.
Yeah, this is good, I like the summary.
Good, thanks. Big thing on the books is we got to renew our downtown village center designation. Ed Bove is going to help me with that.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, sheriff's report.
And I don't have anything to add to that, other than the report that was given in the newspaper, in the Rutland Herald. They are short-staffed, and he admitted, Sheriff Fox did admit to me that we could see some new faces here in Proctor because of staffing issues, or challenges, I'll call them.
No, and it's like, it's funny because everybody's asking for more man hours, and he's on the flip side saying he doesn't have the manpower, so it's like, what do you do?
I guess from the last select meeting, we can report good news, is that Lily is at the Humane Society, the dog that was abandoned from our last meeting. The sheriff helped us out with that, and the Humane Society was a big help as well, getting the dog.
They said she was doing well, called to check on her,
Yeah.
said she was settling in. Hopefully someone on the dock.
She wasn't as big and scary looking as, when she was out in the open, she was a lot smaller than she looked like when I was visiting her.
Michael made it sound like one of those wolves from Twilight or something, but
Yeah. I was like,
it's more like
kinda
Toto
embar- I was
from the
kinda
Wizard of
embarrassed, I was
Oz.
kinda embarrassed.
She was cute though.
Yeah.
A little snarly, but not too bad. She ate plenty of bacon treats, so. All right. Any questions on the sheriff's report?
No.
I do see a lot more, state police presence,
Yes, I noticed that too the other day.
so, everywhere actually, I think, but. Okay, so discussion and action items. Everybody sign the bills? All right. Vast easement agreement review for trails in Proctor Town Forest.
Yeah, and just so everyone online knows, the board does have a copy of the easement that was sent to me a couple weeks ago for the proposed vast easement trail in the town forest.
Anybody have questions on the easement?
Pretty straightforward.
Not a big change from,
You know, they've been using it for years.
yeah.
Does anyone online have any comments or questions or?
We're here to answer questions if there is any.
No questions?
Your next step is gonna be to send to your town attorney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't sent yet, correct?
No, it hadn't been
Okay.
sent yet.
Okay. Yes, just for review.
Yes.
Have to keep them busy, you know, so we like to send everything through to them. So no questions?
No.
All right, so is there a motion to continue easement negotiations following input from the town's attorney?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you for your.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting on.
Thank you.
All right. Grant agreement amendment for Beaver Pond Path. Rings a bell.
Yeah, the story has developed since I put this down on to the agenda. There is still an amendment provided in your packets. However, there doesn't seem to be as much support from OMIA as we had originally expected there to be. So you all by now have that information. In a nutshell, OMIA doesn't support the trail passing through the property that the geology building is on.
So they do not support it.
No.
They do not support the path where it exists now.
If we pushed it to the back property line, kind of not in the middle, would they, you know, is there some room for negotiation here?
My understanding is they don't want it behind their building, right?
Yeah.
There's no place to put it in front of the building.
Well, the front building don't look too much better than
Yeah. Kind of disappointing, but,
so that leaves us with the sidewalk.
yeah.
Well, I think it's disappointing because of the last meeting, he made it sound like he was on par when he left, like, oh yeah, we'll do it, we're fine. And then corporate didn't agree to it, so.
And there, you know, we had our meeting Wednesday, myself and the engineers had a meeting last Wednesday, and one of the issues that got brought up were Judy's new fence is only 6 feet tall, and it's got razor wire on top of it, so if you're a cyclist traveling along there, you know, you don't want to swerve to the left or right too hard. And so that fence would have to go from 6 feet to 8 feet tall, so now we're talking about removing a 6-foot fence and putting up an 8-foot fence. I've managed quite a few projects in the past, and the amount of scope creep that we've seen on this one does kind of concern me a little. And I guess I wouldn't say the lack of support, but the expectation of what the level of support was going to be back in 2018 when the project first started. It might not have been realistic.
Could you talk to the state and see if there's some wiggle room here where we won't have to pay for everything?
Yeah, I've kind of begun that conversation already. Peter Bishop, I probably am not pronouncing his last name correctly, is our V-Trans representative. So I sent an email to our engineers and Peter, and then another loan administrator, that that if this were to not proceed forward, is there any room for forgiveness, especially given the fact that the most important part of this project, which was the planning phase, a good bit of it took place during COVID. So that is going to be one of my arguments. And there also aren't, from the records that I've seen, when the application was submitted, you didn't have letters of support from OMIA, and you didn't have letters of support from Judy Teranovich. You did have one from Frank. Oh, and you didn't have one from Vanessa Anderson, who we can't forget either. It's a very small portion of the project, and it only requires a temporary easement, but she is no less a stakeholder in the project. So, yeah, so Tom, that conversation's begun already.
I think one of the biggest problems is that from day one, everybody should have been at the table together, you know, the landowners, the town, the state, everybody, and they weren't. And, you know, no blame to Frank and Judy. I mean, they want to build fences to protect their property and stuff, and so they went ahead and did it. She had to do what she had to do, you know, but then these things keep just like spiraling out of control, and every time we come back, it's something, we have to put a fence up, now we have to put a bigger fence up. You know, now we have to change this, and with OMIA pulling out, we have to go through a whole nother redesign, which is just gonna be, you know, and shame on them. It's like, you know, I think they were well aware of it, they knew about it, but it's just, you know, it puts a big kink in the project, and if they pull out, then I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. It's probably one of the shortest bike paths in the state of Vermont.
Exactly.
And it's a
yeah.
7-year project. You know, I mean, starting in 2018, finishing in 2025.
Yeah.
All things considered, that bike path between the end of Beaver Pond Dam Road and out by Judy's or Frank's, other than it's relatively flat, it's just not a very nice place to put a path that you're trying to funnel people through, up against the industrial building and then whatever Frank's doing. So maybe there's another time or another idea that can, you know, happen at Beaver Pond in that area.
Well, I think originally when they started, it was
To the right, no.
it was a good site because you were going by a natural quarry in the state of Vermont, and that's all it was, it's just the quarry. You know, and then the wood line along Judy's property,
Okay.
but everyone's kind of developed their
changed,
own
yeah.
things since then, so. I mean, I think it'd be worth a conversation
Yeah.
with the state to say, hey, you know,
Too bad.
Yeah, and I'd have to follow up with our attorney a little bit, but just kind of my quick review of the agreement that there is a clause for excusable failure to comply with schedule. That's for justification to get out. or to end the contract. And any contract notification, any withdrawal from the contract would require a 15-day notification by certified mail to the project manager.
I mean, if Omea didn't pull out, then I would think there's still, a chance of this going through and what we've put into it, getting our money's worth.
That's what I've always
But
thought.
without, that's a good chunk of the bike path.
With no alternative.
Right.
No, none at all.
Yeah, I left the door open for communication there too, if they wanted, to send a corporate officer down here to talk to me about the project or partnering on something that kind of mirrored the project. That opportunity is there. I haven't gotten anything back yet. And I received right-of-way plans today. So just so we're all on the same page, we haven't received any final invoices, but assuming that this conversation would go in this direction, I have already asked the design engineers to put the pencils down and to not continue any further. And so the invoices to date that have been signed, they equal $117,180. The town, if no forgiveness is given, would be liable to pay back $93,744.
So is there a motion to stop all the work on Beaver Pond path design and authorize the town manager to seek reasonable forgiveness for repayment from the funding agency?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Against that, but
That's-
You're voting no?
I think we should wait till the first of the year to make a final decision till we hear back from Omea. But anyway,
I don't think I didn't take that as a final decision.
right,
I
this
thought
is
it was
just to
gonna
stop
pause.
drawings and doing everything else so we
Yeah.
can reach out about forgiveness. And
Okay.
plus, I don't think you're ever gonna hear from Omea. You're not gonna have somebody from
No.
corporate show up here. They're not gonna, to them, it's not gonna. It's too bad, because they used to support us a lot. So one no.
yes.
Okay, next, animal ordinance discussion about domestic animals other than dogs running at large. So this is primarily because of chickens, right, and pigs?
Primarily chickens. There is a pig out
Or
there.
pigs on East Street.
There is a pig out there
Pig
somewhere
out.
that we haven't been able to,
Running at large.
yes.
Crossing East Street. Isabel Grabble said it.
Tearing up people's flowers and
Pigs get. So do we have is there nothing in a nuisance ordinance that we have about chickens?
so that's why I phrased it the way I did, because that ordinance that we have that talks towards nuisances, there is a definition for domestic animals, but it's not, domestic animals is not mentioned anywhere else in that ordinance. It reverts everything back to dogs.
So even in the nuisance ordinance?
Yes, well, in the, which ordinance?
Well, I feel like there's always an ordinance that relates to, like nuisance, like loud noises and,
Yeah. Yeah, that would fall into our zoning bylaws, which right now covers roosters. I think it covers the number of chickens that are allowed. It doesn't speak towards containment.
so it's in our zoning. So why don't we just leave it there and expand on it? Instead of using this, because the dog ordinance is usually just,
I think one is a little bit more effort than the other. I think a zoning ordinance requires.
Oh, the process.
Yeah, the process is a bit different. So I did, and again, it does require more enforcement on a local level, which we're struggling with to begin with. It's one of the areas that I think could be improved upon, but would require some input and some resources. So Yeah, I provided you a link to a backyard chicken ordinance that South Burlington has. And you can look at that.
I can
Yeah,
check
to help
ours,
you
because I
make
know
it.
we worked on that a lot. Yeah. We got a lot of-
The one from South Burlington is awfully detailed and would require permits and,
Yeah.
you know, that sort of stuff. So that was,
Yeah, that one is pretty,
I mean, it's like 50 pages long.
yeah. And then, the pig is black and, well, the pig's not black and white, but the pig issue is black and white. And, you know, you can't be harboring livestock.
Is it just running free, or was it just, did it get loose?
I think it just got loose. You know, but again, these are complaint-driven ordinances, so we're not out there, you know, I'm not sending like an agent out there to investigate it really hard. We can't even really enter the property without a warrant. So we can go up to the door and knock on the door.
Right.
We just haven't, you know, I've gotten complaints about the pig. We haven't actually seen it
I've
in
seen
action.
it hasn't been loose, but I've seen it in its pen. You can see it from the road.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take a look up there and
The
see.
pig?
It's hard
They
to
get
tell. I mean,
huge.
it's a way, I mean, it's halfway up the hill, so it's hard.
In the nuisance ordinance, it says, G, a public nuisance constitutes a danger or threat to the health, safety, and/or welfare of the public.
Chicken droppings, you could say that's a danger to the health of
Yeah, I think so.
the general welfare.
Because I'm defecating, I guess.
Well, it says, public health hazard means the potential to harm the public health by virtue of any condition or biological, chemical, or physical agent. I mean, the essence of public nuisance, I think, was, dilapidated buildings, but
Right.
Yeah.
Not to give our lawyer more work, but could we have him look at that and just see, could we classify chickens that are free ranging, that aren't welcome under that part of the ordinance?
It could probably pretty easily be added into the animal control ordinance. But, yeah, we can look into that.
The gentleman with the rooster that wants to keep it, he's gonna get his neighbors to sign off. How long a period of time does he have to do that?
I think Anthony gave him till February to get all the signatures, but I counted.
February?
Yeah.
3 months?
Well, it's just, we try to take a soft approach to this because enforcement does take up so much time and resources, so, and he's got about 20 letters he's got to get written. I did a quick, on the GIS, I did a quick measurement. Yeah, he had about 20, if he wanted to keep it, he had about 20 homes he needed permission from.
So basically, they're banned, but if you get approval from your neighbors within that certain distance, then you're allowed to keep it.
100 yards.
But everybody has to.
That's the way I understand it.
And we've already had a complaint, right?
That's the only reason we went down there is because we had a
So
complaint.
if there's a complaint, then that person's not gonna sign a letter. So why go through the process knowing that he's not gonna get all the signatures? Right?
Again, it's just kind of a soft approach, you know, it's just going to them saying, there's an issue that needs to be fixed, and I don't know, maybe he can convince her into signing it. I'm just not sure. But it's just
You should have
kind of
one that's
our,
just, we ban roosters, end of story.
and we do, and we can, and we can, you know, we can write a letter and say, in 7 days, we're gonna start fining you. The issue with that is every single day is a new fine.
Right.
And that is quite a process to keep up with. So the reason we take that softer approach is so that we can kind of negotiate, well, it's not really a negotiation, but so
Right.
that we can solve the issue before we get into fining.
I think the problem is if you go back, you're gonna find that is not the procedure that has been used in the past. And I know that doesn't necessarily set precedents, but in a way it does, because we had the chicken issue on North Street there, if you recall. And they were required, well, there were a lot of issues there, and they were required to get rid of them. And then, I bet if you go back through zoning, you'll find a couple other ones where they gave them like that X amount of time. And I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just saying that if someone wanted to really go back and look, that you kind of, that's what you followed. But I think 3 months is a long time too.
So you're saying in the past, the approach was just, you can't have them, get rid of
It
them?
says, I don't think it says in zoning that if you get it within 100 yards, you can keep the rooster. I don't think that's what it says.
Speaks towards livestock.
I think it says if I want to have a pig,
But
I have to go around and get everybody to sign within whatever, 100 or whatever. But I thought it said in zoning that you couldn't have the rooster.
I just read it last week, and I'm 99% sure it said that as long as whatever 150 feet, which I think is really not enough to abate the amount of noise that a rooster makes, but I'm pretty sure it said that you could, if your neighbor signed off on it, you were able to.
What section is animals in zoning, do you know?
I think
I
it's,
didn't bring it, he came
It's
before the
240.
planning
I think it's
commission,
241.
last meeting.
so,
Because I know when I was on zoning, it's weird, like, they provided from VLCT the number of animals you had to have before you could, not, like, what the number is, like, there's a set number of pigs, there's a set, you know, like, and everything was a different number, it was very odd. There was no-
Numbers for what?
Like, what that animal is before it's considered,
Like 10 chickens, 2 pigs?
yeah.
all right, so I'm gonna read it real quick.
Yeah, I just found it, I just looked at
They
it.
had limitations for depending on the type of animal.
Yeah.
It even says you can't have any more than 6 total dogs and cats in one
Yeah.
household that are over 6
Yes.
months old.
And I believe chickens was 12, if
I think chickens was 12.
Yeah.
So it says
In
the
our
rate-
ordinance.
the
And
rate,
it says, but roosters are not. I mean, it doesn't say roosters are allowed with 100 yards. That's not what it says.
and it's,
Roosters are in the second paragraph, so.
they are, and it's just my interpretation of it, which could be incorrect, which is probably, worth talking about, but preceding that, it does go on about talking the raising or harboring of livestock, including but not limited to horses, cattle, sheep, hogs, fowl, or fur-bearing animals shall be prohibited within a residential district,
That's
unless
the
written.
first
approval.
paragraph, though.
It is, but it speaks towards livestock, which are fowl.
Yeah, but then it designates chickens in the second paragraph, and it's pretty specific, because it tells you you can't have more than 12, right? And it says chickens are permissible in the residential district as a common domestic animal, but roosters are not.
Considered a common domestic animal. I'm just trying to interpret it the best I can, So that's what we're going under is 100 yards. And I know that February is quite a timeline there. It's longer than I probably would have given as zoning administrator, but it is a clear deadline. If the rooster's not gone by then, or if he doesn't have permissions, then he starts getting issued fines.
So basically, anybody who has a rooster, it should be gone, even if there is no complaint.
Yes. If we had someone,
patrol?
if we had a rooster patrol. Yeah. Yeah.
If it pays well, I'll do it.
Actually, I think it's included in the health officer duty.
Okay, so, would you like to do?
I don't think we can do anything, I mean, this is new business. I would love to see Rutland's, if you can share that with us.
I think we
And-
worked heavily on that like 3 years ago.
And maybe find a compromise between,
They definitely do not allow no roosters and no guinea hens, because they're loud.
And I'm grateful for the feedback on the, on the approach as well. I mean, I can make sure any kind of further violations or, you know, the timeline for compliance is a little bit more narrow.
I mean, before people just didn't have, you know, free range chickens. Now everybody does, so I think it wasn't as big an issue back then as it is.
That's like, you know, steel containers, you know. When the ordinance was written, there was no such
Right.
thing as, you know. And people were more considerate when, you know, 30 years ago.
So I'll send that to you, and then, I think if we do anything, if you want to make the language more, user-friendly or more accurate, yeah, to determine, do we do it through zoning or do we do it through an ordinance, whichever is gonna be less work. And more clear, I guess.
Yeah, I can get some feedback for the next meeting.
Cause I just kinda, personally, I just think the dog ordinance should be dogs. Cause if we start adding chickens and every other animal in there, it's just gonna be a lot of different languages, so.
Right, and we, you know, we went through that period with all the dogs there and problems.
oh, God,
I don't need a chicken. And a pig ordinance.
Well,
Well, we got the pigs, we've got clear guidance on what to do
Did they
about the
catch
pig. Not the free-range roosters, the free-range chickens, though, not so much.
I thought they had to be contained in some sort of a pen. Our neighbor came and asked us if they could just, does it bother us if their chickens run over? I don't care.
There's nothing in the zoning ordinance that says that, but they have to be contained.
Maybe it should, that they should be in a coop. And you can get permission from your neighbors, then you can let them run around. 12 of
Most
them.
people, I feel like that raise chickens, put them in a coop.
Yeah,
And the
most
ones that
do.
don't wanna build a coop, let them loose, and they just.
There are those that don't.
Yeah, see, I've gotten feedback, you know, I've even had a few people talk to me kind of, yeah, after the fact here, and they let I think a lot of people around Proctor have chickens, let their chickens free range. I don't know whether they've negotiated deals with their neighbors for trading eggs or, you know, I think some of them have, but.
Well, some people realized it wasn't a good deal, depending on the street you lived on too, because there were a lot of splat chickens on one street.
And if you look at the fact that, I think I paid $5.16 for a dozen eggs this weekend at Price Chopper, people might start
Price choppers charging 5, 6.
for jumbo.
But it is, I mean, you know, there's a lot of them that are right on the edge of the roads, and then it's kinda, you gotta watch out so you don't hit one.
well, I'm afraid somebody's gonna, you know,
Or
cross the
Yeah.
line, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll put this on hold for a bit, figure.
Well, I kinda knew we'd do a little bit of research and revisit it.
It'll be on next agenda, though. Good. Good, good.
Put it on February's agenda.
No,
All right. VCDP grant submittal in partnership with, I never know if it's Zion or Zion.
Yeah, oh, yeah, so that's actually changed a bit. We're, the deadline that, the timeline that Zion had gotten, was incorrect. It's actually a lot more sooner. So they're gonna wait till April to apply. So we've got plenty of time on this. And as that approaches, I'll make sure the board's up to speed on what's happening with the Cedar, myself, and the Zion co-owners are supposed to meet this week and kind of talk once again about what that scoping or feasibility study would look like now that they own the entire campus. So, that's an easy one.
We like that.
Yeah.
Okay, town budget review. Anybody have questions or?
I think we all feel the same way. It's an increase. We never like to see increases. But I don't really see a way.
And as what we've got here, what have we got for an increase? Percentage-wise?
8%.
Ooh. Yeah.
There, there are just some minor changes I've made. I think this is, I'll officially call this the second review of the budget, even though we said we were gonna have a budget review last time. We spent a lot of time with Casella and other things at our last meeting. So I'm calling this the second budget review. All I did was, I got the workers' comp rates and the insurance rates. I'll provide you, like I said earlier in the meeting, I'll provide you with a handout of those, of the breakdown. I made really minor changes to the notes. We had cemetery flags in 2 different places. And that was brought to my attention. The changes were made. That's under parks, I believe.
Yeah, there were a couple things I noticed that it was here and then it was over someplace else.
So I don't think it was so much as we were double dipping, but we just were calling flags. We were calling flags by different things,
Yeah.
by different names. This new budget has the reduction of Celia's health insurance. It's not a reduction in Celia's health insurance, it's just a change in what her plan is.
A more
We're
accurate
assuming-
reflection of what we're spending on her health insurance.
And, you know, and then I think the biggest increases you have here in your budget are, again, Casella, contractual, hard to avoid, police, which, you know, you could take the chance because they itemize their invoices now compared to the lump sum that we used to get. So if there's less enforcement, the fee is less. You can take a chance there. Fire department's asking for more money into their sinking fund. Highway department's asking for more money in paving.
What's their sinking fund, the highway department?
Air packs.
Not the fire department, the highway department.
Not that much, I don't believe.
Right, I thought that was low, but I'm sure this isn't the year to up it.
It's like looking at it, it seems, it's almost hard to comprehend that it can be up 8%, because it doesn't seem like there's
Yeah.
that much difference. You know, there's a couple big items, but nothing drastic.
And like the 19% increase in Department 30, which is on page 1, that's only an actual increase of $18,000. 19,500.
Which department you under?
Department 30, legislative administrative.
Okay.
It's a huge percentage increase, but it's only $9,500.
19,000.
Ain't wrong? Sorry, $19,500. But out of a 1 point.
Just for that department, that's what the.
Yeah, but out of 1.5 million budget, if we cut that, it really wouldn't drop the bottom line down that much.
Well, what is 1% equal?
That's a good question.
You know, I did that math and didn't write it down, but it's pretty easy to find.
Probably $11,284,
Yeah.
because the whole increase is $112,848.70.
So 1% to 11.
I mean, out of that, the insurance and retirement are the biggest chunks.
That's a lot in every department.
Yeah,
I mean, if we cut the highway increase, that's roughly 1%.
Boy, I hate to do that.
Well, we'd be level funding it in a year that we're asking for a pretty big increase.
Yes, yeah, yeah, I'd like to see us cut it back a little bit. From 8. I don't know where to cut. Insurance we're stuck with.
Can't
Pretty
change
much.
that.
yeah.
So the insurance, like legislative and administrative went up, way up, like almost $10,000.
Yeah, that's because Brandy's coming onto my plan.
Okay, and then the other is the change that you mentioned for Celia, that's why that one
What
was
went
reduced?
down? Yeah, that one went down.
Okay,
Yeah, if we could cut this a couple percent, 2 or 3%, it would be
I
a
could-
lot easier sell.
I could live with 5 for easily,
Yeah.
yeah.
You could cut Matt Razanowski is under highway, and he doesn't currently use our insurance. And I believe I have him scheduled to, so that could be cut.
okay.
I'd like to work back into it eventually. Well, I would suggest working back into it eventually.
Yeah, I think we gotta keep it at 5%.
So I mean, 2 of the big ticket items in highway are the extra 10,000 in paving and the extra 2,000 in tree removal. I mean, right there is 1%.
Yeah.
Well,
Paving's gonna bite us in the butt here if we,
But that's 10,000 off of an $85,000, there would still be an $85,000 paving budget.
yeah.
you could take Matt Razanowski's insurance off, and that would buy you,
What page is that on, Mike?
oh, I'm sorry, that's under highway,
Page 6.
page 6. H&A insurance. So you could take, but it's risky doing that. You could take Matt Razanowski off, and that would save you $7,200.
But he could change his mind.
He could change his mind, or he could leave, which I don't expect him to, but he could leave, and then we bring someone
Can't
else
change his
on
mind
with.
after January 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if he were to leave, then we brought someone new on who
I mean,
required insurance.
In reality, the largest thing on here is our curbside pickup.
Yeah, by far. Price of gas is going down, but I don't think it's,
Yeah, I don't believe it'll stay down.
no, I wouldn't trust it to.
Have we gotten any further in talking to them about the curbside pickup?
Casella?
Yeah,
No, I believe where we dropped off was, what'd they say to, oh, I shouldn't do that. 20, what was it, $20.40 per resident? Or something like that.
but what, didn't they wanna like talk off record?
Not that I remember.
As far as our contract, they didn't wanna be on our Zoom in the select board meeting, they wanted
Oh.
to talk directly with us. As far as their
Yeah,
contract.
well, I didn't think they were gonna join us via Zoom, and then they did, so. I think they kinda covered all their bases there.
But they didn't give us really answers as to, you know, I just feel like sometimes we're being doubly charged on these things. We have a monthly payment, and then we have a tonnage payment, and then we got a surcharge payment.
Yeah, we've got it like a fixed cost payment, and then we have the tonnage, and then we have the surcharge.
It just seems like it should be rolled into one, you know?
Well, the recycling, is generating almost nothing for
Right, yeah.
income. Whereas, 5 years ago it was helping a lot.
It offset a lot of their costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad too.
Well, I did make that big speech about maybe Casella at our last meeting or a few meetings ago about Casella switching over to a more sustainable fuel source for their fleet. And I saw in the paper the other day, they got a new electric dump or hopper, so, or dump truck. So, yeah, we
there's
can.
only one.
Yeah, and I went online and I was looking at it there, and appears to be a diesel generator mounted behind the cab.
Huh?
Appears to be a diesel generator mounted behind the cab.
So we can
For
go,
emergencies,
so
I'm sure.
we can do this however, you'd like. We can go
Halfway through the route.
we can go through the whole thing and cut. Or
You know, a lot of
add.
these things are, you can't cut, you know what I mean? Like the heating, things that we're charged a certain amount, so we have to budget for that, cover that.
Yeah, there are fixed costs in here
Right.
that would be hard to change.
And when you think about inflation and how much it's gone up,
Yeah.
budget is less than inflation. But I agree, if we could cut 2 or 3%,
They hate to have to put it in and then have to turn around and have the cost of another vote and what have you. If it didn't pass.
What is our CLA, do you know, what that disbursement is, percentage-wise?
I don't know what the CLA is percentage-wise, but I did do ran some numbers, and this was kind of scary to do because I don't think it's ever been done before prior to the release of the annual report. So I did put some numbers together on what the rate could be, and this is assuming a lot of things. It's assuming that the grand list stays the same. I haven't gotten all of our revenue reports in yet, but, so in FY '24, if we were to approve this budget as it is today, for a home valued at $100,000, the change in taxes would be plus $87.50. So that is, so the tax rate would be 1.142.
plus $20 a year more in sewer, plus $91, or in water, $91 more a year in sewer.
Yeah.
What did you say about water and everything?
That's just the tax increase, but every household would owe another $111 in water and sewer. And there's not much we really can't change that very much.
It's not much, but like tree removal, can we keep that the same as last year?
$2,000 increase.
But that's what I'm saying, instead of taking like a big chunk out of one thing.
Right.
Just blow away at like little bits out of each, a few things, so no one's budget is like impacted, The thing is, a lot of these big ticket things are things that people vote on that they want,
Right.
They want good highways, they want their sidewalks fixed, they want the roads repaired, the potholes and things, so.
I'll form the government out of whichever budget is passed. So I can make whatever changes the board feels need to be changed.
I'd say let's cut the $2,000 increase on the trees.
On the what?
Tree removal.
If you scaled back the highway improvements, it was at 85,000.
$10,000 increase, you're saying go to 5,000?
Yeah, or, you know, maintain it where it's been at.
If we did those two things, that's 1%, so now we're down to a 7% increase.
Just, and for, you know, full transparency here, highway, you do get state funds for highway, and it's why we always go over budget every year on paving, because we use those funds. It's not reflected simply on an expenditure report like a budget report is, but you do have about $60,000 of revenue that's generated into highway that usually gets put on top of that paving.
Okay, then you said cut 2,000 from,
I would propose cutting 2,000 from the highway department for tree removal and the $10,000 increase for highway improvements.
and cut that, okay.
Cut both of those. So level fund both of those budgets.
So the fire department, the direct labor there, it says, they'll receive compensation according to a point system, no change from fiscal '24. Does that mean no change in their compensation?
I might,
Change in the point system.
I think I just left that, that's just left over from last year, no change for
Oh,
FY.
okay.
Or it was an expectation of mine before he forwarded me his amendments.
And the answer, in my old notes I have that he said it was because of inflation.
Or we could cut recycling to once a month rather than every 2.
That's, what would that save us?
And it's contracts, so I don't know. We're in a position to do that.
Be worth an ask, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Because
saying
Casella
an
knows, you know, well, I'm sure we're not the only ones whining about.
Yeah, if you limit the travel over here.
Yeah, how many stops? Yes.
I mean, the only thing it's probably gonna change is the surcharge, you know, and the.
Yeah, because they're doing the same route.
They're doing the same route and they're gonna get the same amount of tonnage.
Trash,
Yeah, because people are just gonna
So they recycle away.
overload
Probably
it the
not.
second week. I'd rather garbage pick that once
Well, thank God we didn't get into composting, you know.
Right.
Oh, that's the sheriff, never mind.
Not a lot of places.
If the town chose not to, if the town chose not to join Beamer's under the 6.5% instead, which is Group B, if you went with Group A, it would be 5%, and that would save the town $5,000 approximately.
Looking at it from the perspective of an employee, I think the choice the board made is the right one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can't bump up salaries and give them these raises for, you know, retention purposes and then not offer a benefit that's also gonna hopefully make them stay because long-term it's gonna benefit them more, so.
Was it A that said you work 35 years and then you can collect and, oh, and the one we chose was 30?
I don't think that,
Career-wise?
I don't think the board has made a decision, formal decision on Beaver ownership yet.
I don't think we can, because that's, That one was in like April, isn't it?
Yeah, and you won't, really, you won't know, you know, say you say now you approved 6.5%, or say now that in this meeting that the 6.5% was approved under Group B, and then you go to town meeting and it doesn't get
Budget doesn't
approved, it
pass.
puts you in a bad position.
No, I'm not, my mistake if I thought we had already made a decision on that, but whatever one, I feel we were leaning towards a particular plan, and it was, for an employee, it was a better choice. So, I just think that's something necessary to keep.
So is there a possibility with the police that that could come down? I mean, they're bumping us up 5%, but they're giving us less.
Yeah, because we
So
only
why
had,
pay more for fewer hours?
over 2 weeks, we only had 44 hours.
Yeah. Well, I think the 2 weeks before was like 20-something hours.
But Michael's point is that would just be reflected in their invoices and we wouldn't be
Yeah,
paying
we're
them.
paying less.
So do we cut the increase with the thought that we're not gonna get billed for all those hours? I think that's dangerous.
How come general insurance has gone up so substantially? We
One-
haven't had that many incidents, and it's like up $1,200 if you think, that doesn't even make sense.
Well, I was curious about that too, and I remember this time last year, they were asking me and John Corliss to go down there and get measurements for the fencing and how many light posts were down there. So, as well as the wastewater treatment facility. So, there are more assets that are being covered. Because the fence wasn't covered and the lights weren't covered.
There's only one light pole down there.
It might not be the light, but I do remember the fences. Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna provide that breakdown next meeting.
Maybe we need another pool, because they go down 25%.
Is that 25% or is that 0.25?
No, it's
25.
down a good bit.
I just don't see anywhere else we can cut unless we're gonna
No.
cut staff, which I'm not saying we should at all.
Well, the other option is you could put the mosquito as a separate article,
Yeah.
and that gives the onus to the people to decide if you want it to go up. 'Cause that's like $15,000. And are you holding a regular town meeting and voting from the floor?
I would think so.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, well, some people are doing different things and never discussed it here, so.
Oh, I've actually got it on as a note, under new business to talk about the warning and all that.
The government's saying we might be, they might be bringing masks back, but, it would be nice to get back to a traditional town meeting.
Yeah.
And I think there's some real concern in the community that we're not going to. And I don't think that
Yeah.
was ever our intent, it was just we didn't know if we could.
Well, I don't think it was a good idea, it wasn't safe to, you know.
No.
I don't think.
So I've got, cut tree trimming, 2,000, cut highway, 10,000.
That'll bring us down to 7%?
Roughly 7%, yeah.
I can live with that. We'll get beat up a little bit, but I think with what people are seeing at home and the, at Price Chopper, Hannaford, the gas station. And then, I'm still seeing, empty shelves here and there, that surprises me.
One of my students works at Price Chopper, and he said they're always trying to hide empty shelves because they don't have the inventory they thought they were gonna have.
Is that right? Yeah.
Plus because of trucking, and then, distributors getting stuff to people.
Yeah, of course, I'm gonna say this, but I do think that we run pretty lean, which is not uncommon for a small town. And compare that, but if you kind of correlate that with kind of a flat budget over many years, I think it was coming. And I even think this with an 8% increase, if you look through every single line item, you look through our operational needs, it's a lean budget.
It is. Yeah, I mean, paving is, we aren't gonna get much for that amount of money, not with the price of oil.
Well, if you took like the total sum of like labor, insurance, and heat, that would be the biggest chunk of the budget, but you can't do anything
We
about
can't do
that.
anything about it, yeah.
What were the last two things that you mentioned, Michael?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Trees and highway.
Oh, for the cuts, yeah.
No, the 10,000 and 2,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've got that.
So did you want to make changes and come back for final approval?
Yeah,
Yeah, we got some time.
Yeah, annual reports are due to repro the end of January. And, do we want to go ahead and, does the board want to go ahead and make a motion to make those changes to the budget now, or do we want to just kind of build it all up and make a sweeping motion?
You can make a motion to cut both the highway by 10,000 and the tree cutting by 2,000.
So,
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
gonna cut it now or later.
Yeah. Yeah, we're between a rock and a hard place here.
That way, if that's all that's done, then,
Are you gonna look into maybe recycling once a month as opposed to every other week? Or because we're under contract, maybe just leave it?
I do feel like it might be an uphill battle. We're under contract and the tonnage is probably gonna be
I
the
agree
same.
with you.
I doubt Casella will wanna come pick up, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have people stacking things outside the box, expecting them to pick it up.
we're just putting them in trash,
Because they only have one tote.
Okay.
and then we're paying the tonnage on trash
yeah,
instead
you're right.
of recycle.
The only thing you might,
Sounds good. Well.
probably aren't
I'd
gonna
rather-
save anything on weight and all that.
No.
They're making their route. And they're really with the same truck and the same personnel.
Yeah.
Anything further on the budget?
No.
Okay, under new business, review the first draft warning for town meeting for the next meeting.
Yeah, how you guys feel about that? Review warning for the next meeting? I won't have numbers to put on there for budgets, but,
Yeah, we can.
it's
I'm
drafts.
fine with that.
Okay.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Alright, Town hall's closed December 26th, and we may want to change the date of our next meeting.
Which is scheduled for the 26th.
Let's push it out to Tuesday,
Yeah, I'd rather do
Yeah.
it Tuesday.
Tuesday the 27th?
'Cause I'm off on Monday and I want to come.
Tuesday the 27th. Yep.
Okay, 12/27.
And the mosquito district, they wanna come down and give us a pitch. Or answer questions and.
Is there anything else? Anybody have questions, comments?
So did you move it to the 27th?
Yes.
And maybe we should think about that, moving it's kinda, just moving the checkers around, moving the mosquito district to a voting item.
Separate article in the.
Yes. Just something to think about before next meeting. That would certainly bring us down to our 5.
6.8.
Yep.
No one would be happy.
Really? Yeah, we're at 3 or just under.
I think we're at 3.4 more.
Sometimes the bigger you are, the easier it's to cut, because you got more to choose from.
Well, union's already locked in, so that's,
Right.
you already put that to the side, right? That's, Ben's getting the big check no matter what.
It's like Publishers Clearinghouse. 2 weeks.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.